So welcome back, you guys, and happy Friday. I'm filming this on a Wednesday, but when I post it, it's gonna be Friday. And I kind of just wanted to do a update, and as you guys saw by the title, there's just some stuff that I was going through, which is why I wasn't filming. So I'm going to tell you guys all about that, and then also give you guys a life update. So I missed you guys so much. I'm so glad that I'm back and feeling well and wanting to film and everything. So yeah, super duper excited. So if you guys want to see where I've been and hear my story about my breast cancer scare, then just keep on watching. Also, if you haven't, subscribe and like and comment. I'll see you guys. I'm going to try not to say so many times, but I took notes. Here I go. Just because, oh my gosh, just because I needed to make sure that I knew what I was talking about and make sure I was doing the right timeline and everything. So, yeah, I've been gone for 2, 3, maybe close to a month. And it's just because I thought that I had breast cancer. So let's just get right into it. So the first symptom that I had was I had nipple discharge. And this video is going to be a little bit TMI, so if you don't like that, then you can kind of like exit out. But yeah, so I started having nipple discharge. I didn't really think anything of it because I did breastfeed for 7 months. So I didn't really think anything of it, and it had been maybe like 2 or 3 months since I had breastfed my son, since I had pumped and anything like that. Like, I kind of stopped cold turkey once he started teething, and I had nipple discharge, and I was sitting on the couch, and I really didn't think anything of it. My shirt kind of just got wet, and it kind of felt like, if you breastfeed, you know how it feels whenever you have milk that comes in. So it kind of felt like that, and I was like, that's kind of weird for that to happen. It's been 2 months since I breastfed, so I didn't think anything of it. And a couple days go by, and we're at my granny's house, and I asked my granny, I was like, hey granny, like, I'm having discharge for my nipples, is that normal? She's like, yeah, since you breastfed, give it some time. So I was like, okay. So this was back in April, late April, early May. So I give it some time. I kind of am watching it. I'm doing my examinations and everything, because now I'm like worried that it's still happening. So it kept happening, and then it was just on and off, like all through May. And I guess maybe because I wasn't paying attention to it as well, I would check it like every other day, and I would see like it was like flaky, and I'm like, okay, this is what it looks like after I breastfeed, so what's going on? So around the end of June is when like early July is whenever I really started like worrying, because I was having like an aching pain here, and then also my left breast would just like ache all day. It just ached. So I was like, okay, this is the same breast that I'm having discharge from, and also it's hurting. So I'm like, okay, I would do my examinations in the shower, then I would lay on the bed and do them, and I'm like, okay, I don't feel anything. So I would kind of just take like Tylenol or something for it, and I just told my husband like, hey, I'm having this pain, and it's related to breast cancer, so I'm not sure what's going on. And we talked about it, and I was like, I don't want to go to the doctor because I don't want to get bad news. So I kind of just brushed it off, and sometimes I was like, maybe I'm just thinking about it too much. Maybe I don't have breast cancer. Maybe I'm just thinking about it and it's making the pain hurt, because if you think about something, then you're like, oh yeah, I do feel that pain. So that's kind of how I was thinking. And like I said, I didn't want to go to the doctor because I was like, they're gonna tell me like, sorry, Miss Ray, you have stage 4 breast cancer. Like, I'm one of those people who thinks the worst all day, every day. I don't know why, but I am. So, at this point, my husband was the only person that knew. Like, I would tell him if I'm having the pain, I would tell him what it felt like, where it was, and it was just terrible. Like, I was so miserable, and I was putting myself through like a depression stage because I was just thinking like, I have breast cancer. Like, I'm trying to make myself live with it. Have not been to one doctor, but I was making myself live with it. Like, you have breast cancer, you're about to live your life, like, be with your kids, blah, 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 blah. And I just was like putting myself deeper into a stage, and you know, the day would come to film and I'm like, no. I would drop my kids off at daycare and come home and lay in the bed. Like, that's how depressed I was because I kept thinking that I had breast cancer. I had not been to the gym. Thank God I only gained 1 pound, but I was not going to the gym. I was not cleaning. Like, I wasn't doing anything because I was putting myself into depression stage. And every time I looked in my agenda book, it was either time for me to film or upload. And I was like, I'm just not doing it. And I would lay in bed all day until 3:45 came when it was time for me to pick up my kids. And then when I did pick up my kids, we weren't doing like our same routines. Like, we weren't going to the library, or we weren't going to the park. Like, I would just come home and we would just sit, like, because I was so depressed and thinking that I did have breast cancer. And my biggest fear thinking that was that I'm not going to be able to see my kids grow up. So that is what really made me depressed. And it's like, now that I'm figuring out my life and all of that, like, I have breast cancer, like, boom. So that's kind of why I wasn't uploading, because I was very depressed. I really put myself in a depressed stage, and I did that to myself, not knowing what the true answer was. So my husband actually saw that I was like depressed, and when he would be home, we would go places and stuff like that, but I still wasn't really feeling myself. Like, I was just like, kind of like, can we just go home? Like, you know, that. So my husband ended up being like, Deja, make the appointment. Like, you have to make the appointment. Because I would tell him, like, I'm having this pain again. Like, it got to the point to where it was like throbbing, like, you know, like a heartbeat, like throbbing. And it would throb for maybe like 5 minutes, and then I wouldn't feel it, but it would still ache. So, and whenever I felt the pain under my armpit, I really don't shave my armpits because I get really bad ingrown hairs. So I was thinking, maybe I'm just getting really bad ingrown hairs and it hurts. But it didn't hurt on the surface. It hurt under the armpit. So I was just like, something's wrong. Like, something is wrong. So I went and I called my primary doctor, and on the phone, so nervous, I was on hold, and she's like, I was like, hey, can I make an appointment with my primary doctor? Like, this is my name, my date of birth. And she was like, okay. She's like, what do you want to be seen for? And I just burst into tears, and I was like, I'm just having this really bad pain and nipple discharge, and I just need to see the doctor. Well, at first I called the mammogram place over by my house, but you have to have a note from your doctor saying that you need to get a mammogram. So then I called my doctor, and I was like, okay, yeah, something's wrong. So she put me on hold, and she moved some appointments around, and she was able to get me in the next morning at 10:30, and I called maybe like right before they closed. So I was glad that they were able to get me in, but that night I still just laid in bed. That morning I went and took my kids to daycare, and I came home and I laid in bed. And I wasn't eating, I was barely sleeping, just because I was so worried about the answers that I would get. So I came home after I dropped off my kids at daycare, and I kind of sat, I took a shower, and then I just laid in bed in my towel until it was like 10 o'clock, and then I got dressed and went to my appointment. So going in, I was already super nervous, like anyone would be. You know something's wrong, you don't know what, and you're afraid to find out. So I went in there. I told them why I was there. I didn't have to fill out any paperwork or anything. So I waited for maybe like 5 minutes, and then they called me back. And you know, you do the regular, you get weighed, they ask you why you're in, the medical assistant asks you why you're in, and all of that, and you answer all those questions. And then I had to change it to a gown. The front was open, and I was already thinking the worst. I'm like, you know, something's wrong, because whenever I told her what was going on, and she had asked, you know, how long has it been since I breastfed, she's like, okay, that's kind of, you know. So I waited for my doctor to come in, and then she did. She's a cool little lady. So I was talking to her, and then they did this test, and basically it was where she like kind of like massaged my boob and made the discharge come out, and she told me it still looks like breast milk. So I kind of was relieved. And then it was on like this, like a piece of paper. She kind of like, I don't know if you guys can see this, she kind of like dropped a couple drops on the paper, and then under that paper was like dye, and depending on the color that it turned, that was like, if it was normal, it stayed. If it was abnormal, it turned blue, like a lighter blue. And then if it was like something's definitely wrong, it turned like bright blue. So first she did it, and it turned bright blue, and she explained to me like, okay, this is what's wrong, like, you know. So it turned a really bright blue. I wouldn't say a bright blue, but it turned like a turquoise color. It's not like royal blue, it turned like a turquoise color. And she's like, all right, that means something's wrong. And I was in the doctor's office, so I didn't cry, but she was just explaining to me what could possibly be wrong. She's like, we can't weigh out cancer, but it could be an infection, it could be a cyst, it could be, you know, this, or it could be that. In my head, I'm still thinking cancer. But then when she told me, we're going to treat it as an infection. We're not weighing out cancer, we're just treating this as an infection. And she prescribed me with some antibiotics, and she's like, take these twice a day, every day for 10 days. She's like, and we're gonna get you an ultrasound. They scheduled me in an ultrasound the same day, and then my appointment was on a Friday, so the following Wednesday or Tuesday I had my ultrasound. So I took those pills, and she's like, if it's an infection, it will most likely be gone by the time you have your appointment the following week. So I took my pills, and slowly and surely I felt the pain like go away. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is an infection, but I also feel like I was thinking about it too hard, and I made my body ache. Like, I really feel like I did that. I don't know how true that is or not, but so we get to the other hospital, and that is when I had to do my ultrasound. So in there, it just got my nerves rocking again, because in there in the office it was breast cancer everything. So it was like survivor, breast cancer, warrior, you can do it, you can beat it. And it was like a big old quilt on one wall. And I texted my husband, I was like, all this breast cancer stuff in here is making me super nervous. Like, I was just so nervous. So she calls me back there, I put on my gown, and it's basically the same machine as getting an ultrasound. So she had me sit down in the chairs. There's like a whole dressing room, and they just come and get you whenever they need you. So I sat down, and then when she called me back, the room is literally like whenever you go get an ultrasound, like for your baby, same gel and everything. So she had me lift my head over my, I don't know if my armpit's shaved, but she had me lift my head up like this because she wanted the whole breast to be like stretched. And then she you know, went around, and she looks and everything, and she's kind of making faces, and I'm like, here we go again. And I was kind of really worried. I felt like a lump in my throat because, you know, first of all, she was making faces. Second of all, I'm already telling myself that I have breast cancer. I'm preparing myself to be told that I have breast cancer. So she was like, okay, I'm gonna go let the radiologist see these pictures. She took maybe like 10 or 15 of them. And most likely if you have breast cancer in one breast and they can get it, they'll chop off both. And that was my fear, of having to do that, or maybe it being at a stage 4 and spreading all over my whole body. Like I told you guys, I was just worrying. So she came back with the doctor, and I'm like, okay, here we go. And he's like, well, I have good news. And I was like, what could this be? He's like, well, it looks like your breasts are still coming down from breastfeeding. He said it could take up to a year after you stop breastfeeding, or it could take up, you know, more years for your breasts to fully, those glands to fully close. And he's like, so I want to let you know that nothing's wrong, no breast cancer. If you had an infection, it's gone. Yeah, it's just kind of like a waiting game for my year to come up, or, you know, for my glands to fully close. And I was like crying. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I instantly felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Like, I was just like, oh my gosh, thank you. And so yeah, he's like, in 3 months, if you still have the discharge, come back and we'll check some more things. He's like, but all I could see was your glands are still open. And if you have any nipple stimulation or anything like that, it's going to cause them to keep opening. So I was a weight was lifted off of my shoulders. I finally could sleep and I could eat, and I just felt better. And that really put my life into perspective. It really made me more grateful. It made me understand that one moment you can have everything and the next minute it can be taken away from you. So it was like, I might never see my kids, you know, get married or go to college or go to high school or go to kindergarten. So it was just very nerve-wracking for me, but I was so thankful that I did get good news. And I was so excited because I felt better and I could film again, because I know a lot of people had DM'd me and like, hey, where you been? And I didn't even open them because I was like, I decided to put my life out there and I just disappeared, you know. So that is why I made this video, just to give you guys an update. I am okay. I'm out of that like depression state and everything like that. So glory be to God that I do not have breast cancer, or any type of cancer at that. So that is my breast cancer scare. And I'm just so blessed that I do not have breast cancer. So there are a couple more updates that I wanted to update you guys on. So August, it is July 24th. August 15th, I start school for medical assistant. So I think my channel is going to change a lot from cleaning videos to more lifestyle videos, because I'm not going to be home a lot to clean. But with that being said, I am going to be doing a big haul with all of my school supplies that you need for, I'm going to school to be a medical assistant. So I will be doing a super huge haul. August, I think the 2nd is that Friday, so the following Friday is when I will do that super big haul. I'm not sure on the exact date, but be looking out for that. And then also we are buying a house in August, or we have it, but we're moving in August when our lease is up here. So we're super duper excited. That is another big thing that was stressing me out. On top of that is because we have to rip up some old carpet and paint. But other than that, we're super excited. So my channel is going to be changing a bit. It is going to have different types of videos other than my cleaning videos. There's going to be, I have some video ideas coming, like pack with me whenever we pack up our house. Then there's going to be like unpack with me, of course, whenever we unpack on our new house. And then you guys will be able to see our whole remodel process of our house. So we're completely, I'm not going to say we're completely gutting this house, but we kind of are. We're going to be taking out floors. We're going to be adding in rooms. We're going to be painting the inside and the exterior. So it's going to be a lot. And throughout the rest of this year, because we want it to take about 6 months to a year to fully remodel. We want it to be kind of done before the winter comes. We want the outside to be done for sure before winter comes, just because it'll be easier on us. But however long it takes, we're gonna get it done. So yes, that is kind of like my life update. Sorry that this video was kind of long, but I just wanted to inform you guys on everything that has been going on. I am okay. Like I said, I'm out of that depressed mood. I have on my yellow because I feel nice today. And yeah, so I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you guys forgive me for taking a super long break. And also, if you are new here, my channel will be changing, but if you want to, you can go and watch all of my old videos. All of those are mostly cleaning videos and Dollar Tree hauls, so go and check those out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Bye.